we'd be having the roundtable. So we decided let's go ahead and let's just do it virtually, since everything else is virtual now, all communication, all everything. So thank you guys for hopping in and joining us. And Chaz and I promise to make it worth your while. And it's really about you guys being able to ask each other questions. So we're going to be, kind of flies on the wall. And in essence, let you guys interact with each other and talk to each other. We are going to go through some slides of just some basic stuff, kind of some business related stuff. And then we're going to get to it and let you guys have a virtual roundtable. So what we're going to try to do, depending on how many people hop in and join, then we'll split everybody up. And we think we'll be able to have you guys talk virtually with each other. So I will just spend a second of time introducing myself and Chaz. For those of you who may not have seen us or maybe seen us in a while, we have been doing this for 9 years now, and we basically have turned this into really a international thing, because we've been doing it at PWX as well. We started in 2000, what was that, 12, I think, Chaz?
Yeah, you were becoming president of PWA.
That's right. That's right. So so we started then, and it's really been a lot of fun. We've been really kind of trying to go in and basically set it up to where we encourage you guys to attend, come in, spend time discussing subjects, and a lot of times we have subjects that are far-ranging, from funding to the graying of the workforce to all kinds of stuff. Never have we really kind of had an overreaching situation like this. Even when we do have storms, the storms are something we deal with, and then that's it. So this is really a monumental task, and something we're all trying to kind of come to terms with. And so what we want to be able to do is spend time, let you guys talk to each other, get in and really dive into this thing and see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen real quick, and you'll get to see, hopefully, my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, tell me if you can see. Can you guys see that?
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on. So let me just open this. I'm trying to do this at the same time I'm admitting people to the room too.
I'll take care of that. You just take care of the
cool. Yeah, that's cool. Let me do that. Okay. Hit share. Okay, how about now?
Yep.
All right. Admit. Okay, cool. So let me just do this. All right, now we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So welcome to the Public Works Director Roundtable, the virtual roundtable. Thanks for joining us. Basically, your moderators today, as we were just kind of getting into, are these two gentlemen, these crazy characters. And Chaz and I have been doing this. We really enjoy it. We thank you guys for coming. And really, like yesterday was Earth Day, and we didn't see a lot of celebrating except for on social media. And the Earth is getting a break from humans. It's kind of weird. I guess that's how we're celebrating the 50 years, is that we decided to just like give it a little rest and just socially distance from our normal economic activities that cause the Earth some problems sometimes. But also, it's all really National Work Zone Awareness Week. I find this kind of funny as well, because traffic levels, as we're going to discuss later, have dropped significantly. So we're also barely aware of any work being done because we're all, inside. So it's kind of funny. But really, what we want to do is spend most of the time talking about how you guys are being impacted by the COVID situation and what we can do to help each other get through it. We've done much of this before, where we've had situations where something has come up, and then we've had to just go ahead and find some way to deal with it, like we always do in public works. And so I think that's kind of where we're left with. So you guys know about it. The PWD Roundtable has currently got a case of COVID, so we're actually doing some work on it to get it fixed up and to make some adjustments to it. So, but normally that would be the case. We would have that up and running for you guys. So let me leave it over to Chaz to talk a little bit about kind of some of the resources that are out there, and what you guys can do with some of these resources.
Thanks. We typically go over specifically APWA resources, but we definitely wanted to kind of broaden the spectrum for this event today. And then when I'm done, I was kind of hoping, Tom, if you could give us an update on what is going on with the Florida chapter and the expo and all of that, that would be great. And I'll kind of turn it over to you. But the resources we really wanted to talk about are that we have a number of professional associations right now that are providing a number of resources and information to public works directors such as yourself that can really help you through this time. APWA obviously has resources that we're going to go over in a second, but SWANA, ASCE, and FACERS have all been providing information out to their members that give ideas of what other communities and other organizations are doing. So if you or a member of your team is a member of one of these organizations, we strongly suggest that you consider that, just because they are providing a lot of insight into what's going on across the country, because we are all either stuck in offices or stuck at home or doing things that are remote while we're going through this crisis. So so that's step one. Chris, can you move forward one more, please?
Whoops.
So the APWA resources and public works director toolkit that we've worked on and that APWA has worked on, they have a number of resources that are available specifically to APWA members. So Click, Listen, and Learns are the webinar series that APWA puts on. They're usually about 1 or 2 a month, but what's great about this is if you go into the Learning Center, which is on the APWA website, you can actually go back and review some that have happened in the past. This is paid for as a part of your membership, so we strongly suggest you take a look at this, as well as some of the ones recently dealing specifically with COVID-19. The Donald C. Stone program, and we should have taken this off, Chris, no longer exists.
Oh, well, man.
But it does have 3 certification programs to review, and this is a great time to get certified. If you've got supervisors or managers, or you yourself would like to go through that program, there's the CPWP-S and the CPWP-M, supervisor and manager, where it is basically sets national credentials for your competency as a public works leader. So take a look at that when you get a chance. We have compiled a number of videos on the YouTube channel for APWA Florida that are specific to Florida public works directors, and you guys are allowed to use them at any given time. They're predominantly ways to market and give information to your communities about the importance of public works. So if you want to take a look at that, it's at youtube.com/APWA Florida. And if you look under the list that says Public Work PWD Toolkit, you'll see those videos. We're going to talk a little bit about the expo, or I hope that Tom will give you an update about that. But the idea here is through LinkedIn and through Facebook that we can provide you all a network for your peers that is purely focused on public works director level staff members. Usually in APWA, you get all sorts of different memberships. So this is specific to your level in an agency, how you are dealing with the crisis at an executive level, and we hope that you utilize that resource. So with that, let me unmute Tom here.
Got it.
Oop.
I got it.
There you go, Tom. Tom,
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of an update on what's going on with the expo? I know we've rescheduled it, what the plan is there, and some of the things going on with the Florida chapter.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. As you know, we're supposed to have it in April, and this thing decided to come in and kind of change the whole thing of everybody, the way they're operating and remotely and just all over the place. I'm here in Jersey. I got stuck while I was on vacation. So I've been here 5 weeks already, working remotely. And remotely is good in a way, but I'm telling you, by the end of the day, I am so drained that I'm in bed at 8 o'clock, because it really drains you more when you work remotely and being in the office. But with that said, as you know, we moved the conference to August 24th to the 27th. And that was the only date that was available to move forward. And we moved it enough forward to see if this thing would go away. I mean, nothing has changed. Everything is going too smooth. We had to do a lot of moving things around, you know, the conference, convention center, the hotels, you know, the whole venue, and, you know, signing new contracts, blah, blah, blah. But we got it all done and we're ready to go. Everything, all the exhibitors are still on board to do the thing. We're almost full in the exhibition floor. I think we only have 3 booths left, which is very good for what we're going. And I look forward to it. Of course, I was looking forward to the April, because I'm becoming your new president. So I'm actually really looking forward now even more. Hopefully we're going to be all out of this thing, and at the same time have a great time up in Tampa, and everything, all the venues, everything is great. And I look, you know, really forward to it. As far as the chapter involved, it's more getting geared to the conference right now. And that's pretty much what I have. Again, the national, I think they're still doing it the following week after ours, which was kind of a conflict there. But the only time that we had to do, it was either July, I think it was June, and it was too close to where we're at, or August, and we had no choice and to do it August, because canceling this whole thing would have cost us a lot of money, because the hotels then go after you for all the stuff, all the contracts that you've signed and all that kind of stuff. So postponing it really didn't, you know, hurt us any, and we're able to move it hopefully far enough to be able to still have it. And that's pretty much what I have.
Thanks. And for everybody, I know he mentioned it, but Tom Ruiz is our current president-elect for the PWD Florida chapter. And sometime here in like the next week or two, he will officially become the president. We just don't know how that's going to work yet. So we're figuring that out. But Tom Ruiz is also the public works director of Miami Gardens down in Dade County. So thank you for that update, Tom.
Sure.
Chris, I think we turn it back over to you at this point.
Yes, absolutely. I can hop in and get everyone ready to rock and roll. So basically what we're going to do is, here, let me see if there's some, yeah, okay. So we're going to go through and we're going to be talking about, obviously, public works during a pandemic. And that is the real trick to it. And we're all kind of making it up as we go along. We have contingency plans for a lot of these types of things, but I don't know how many folks had a contingency plan for a pandemic. Did anybody have, you know, something set up for this kind of eventuality?
No.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did. It's really a difficult situation. So what I would say is, you know, we're really trying to kind of, you know, come up with this and come up with how do we social distance and how do we, you know, go through and come up with a way to to get our normal business operating and done without sacrificing the safety of our crews and our frontline field folks. And so that is the kind of the difficulty to it, and we're all kind of coming up with a way to do it. And if I see this slide, if I see this picture, this little thing, this alien, I'm gonna scream. It's driving me crazy. It's just like, okay, we know what that is now. Before it was like, I don't know what this is. So it's frustrating days, but I know we're gonna pull through it. One of the interesting things is all these effects that this is having on what we do as a living, really. Look at this picture. I think this is in Los Angeles, and it's just one car. Traffic levels have dropped drastically, and so we're kind of left with, okay, what's this going to do? It means that our pavements are deteriorating less rapidly, but it also means that we have other things to worry about, like wildlife that was never supposed to be there is now wandering the streets, and then we have situations where we have people exceeding the speed limit by double. So just kind of strange things that we're not usually used to dealing with, or is what's kind of happening. So Public Works, and one of the first things we're going to talk about is what kinds of things has your agency gone in and done to adopt some difference, whether it's social distancing or the use of masks or the use of other types of PPE. How did you even get that PPE? Because obviously these things are in short supply. So we want to know kind of, and we want to pass around with your fellow Public Works folks of how we're doing this and how we're going about keeping our staff safe. Is it alternating the days? Are we alternating the times that we're front and center and out there, and or is it affecting our project schedules, those kinds of things? So I think that's one of the first things that we want to talk about. So when we break out in a second, we really want to know and have you guys talk with each other about, has your community implemented official emergency operations? Have you activated the EOC? Are you doing things more closely with police and fire? What has gone on? Has there been some other adaptations as far as the way you're treating Public Works? So what I'm going to do, give me a second, Chaz, add some commentary, and I'm going to try this breakout.
One of the things I've heard from the Public Works directors I've been working with is that if you ever needed a COOP, a continuity of operations plan, now is the time to use it. As in, there's now two things that local governments have had to do, especially Public Works. One is manage the crisis, but the second is actually doing the normal job. So that's one of the things we kind of wanted to discuss, or we thought would be valuable for the Public Works directors to discuss is, did you implement something like that? And if so, is that something that's now a priority for your organization? And what does that look like? I think Nan earlier talked about the fact that they're on split shifts. That's not the only one I've heard of. I know Port St. Lucie is the same way, where directors are coming in 3 days a week and assistant directors the other 2. That way there's a continuity, but nobody, if somebody does get sick, not everybody gets sick, kind of thing. So just we want to talk about those options and those different operational styles that you guys have looked at and what's working. And we think this is very valuable to your other Public Works directors to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if you would need to set this into pen and paper and do this again in the future. So with that, Chris, are we ready to break out?
Yes. So I'm going to break out into 4 different rooms here. So it'll be 6 to 7 folks, and I'm just going to unmute everybody. And then as you guys, especially if you're a KG veteran of these things, maybe introduce yourselves real quick. And then Chaz and I, if technology allows, we're going to try to float into each one of these rooms and talk to you guys. So I'm going to create these rooms now. And open all the rooms, and then let me hit unmute, and let's see what we can do. Here we go. All right. You've been invited to join the rooms here. So now what you'll want to do is just hop in and join, hit the join button. Okay, you guys, we're bringing everybody back into the main session as we kind of get all this figured out. So hold on just a second. I'm going to just make sure that we've got all of our participants in. We had a couple people that had problems getting in here, and Demetrius and Brenda, somehow they got like not let into a room. I don't know how that even happens, but I promise we weren't excluding you. It just was, I would click on it and it wouldn't let you join. So
no problem.
We're group, those of you guys have been, a lot of times when we do some smaller discussions, then we bring it back to the group. So we're going to do that. And I just want to share a couple observations of the two rooms that I was in, and Chaz, you can throw it in there, but just, you know, let's go over, Tom Ruiz brought up a point, and they actually were able to do and had a plan in place, and were able to do some bulk testing instead of just testing like one employee. Has anybody else had a department or a city that has done actual testing where they've contracted to do some like, you know, proactive testing?
Chris, I know the city of Tamarack is not doing proactive testing. However, they are taking people's temperature when they come into their public, their city hall. So anyone that comes in there is getting the, I guess, the infrared thermometer, you know, shot at their head. Our fire station, for the fire guys, they're doing the same thing, but we're not doing it for our city hall. There's very few people from the public coming into city hall. I don't know that actually anyone from the public is coming in there. For the most part, it's just, you know, city personnel, but I believe in Tamarack, everyone that's going into city hall is tested.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and tested, I mean, just they take their temperature. They're not actually getting a test.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? I know, you know, we've got some folks who are from larger, you know, cities too, and counties. I don't know if anybody else has had to implement something, you know, more stringent.
Well, Chris, this is Jim Berkman. Hey,
Jim.
I would say that I have an emergency 911 call center on the second floor of my building, and they have already had 9 positive tests up there.
Wow.
And so they're testing all of the dispatchers as they come in.
Wow. That 9. That sounds like a lot. I mean, how many of you have had employees where they have for sure not just, you know, suspected, but for sure cases where they've, you know, had a positive test?
None, thankfully.
Okay.
I have 2.
2. Joe, is that you?
That's me.
Okay. Hey, Joe. 2. Okay. Well, you've got a pretty big department, and you're in Orlando, so I mean that's kind of promising. I think we probably have a lot more that we just don't have confirmation on, and that's the concern. So has any of the cities discussed the antibodies test or being proactive about checking to see, you know, for almost Public Works Department herd immunity? Has anybody had discussions with maybe the city or county manager on that?
Well, I'll jump in. And Orange County has been doing, you know, some testing, mostly with fire and rescue, because they're generally the ones that are more exposed than the public works staff. And then as any people come up and start to show symptoms, then, you know, we can send those to be tested. Likewise, there's a number of places that are testing has been open to the public in Orange County. There's a large statewide operation that's on its convention center, and then Advent Health has a test site at Millennium Mall parking lot and Seminole Town Center parking lot, and then over at Daytona Beach. So there's places for folks to go and go to. Of course, those are open to county staff as well, if, you know, if they want to go.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the Panhandle, Keith? I see you're on here. What's going on up in the Panhandle, the home of spring break? See if he may be on mute or just listening. But the one of the scenes that was kind of scary was seeing all the spring breakers. I think a lot of them were on the West Coast and Clearwater and St. Pete and some of those areas. And then typically you think of Bay County when you think about some of the spring break. And I was curious as to whether, Keith, if you've seen any, big outbreaks up in Panama City.
No, can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. Yeah, we had some students show up early that forced us to go ahead and close the beaches.
Yep.
We've not had a tremendous outbreak up here. I think we're the lowest outbreak for a county over 100,000. So
that's great.
We're monitoring our social distancing using our Bluetooth system along the roadways. Traffic's down about 50% from what it was this time a year ago.
Yeah, definitely. So do you feel like some of the preparations you made or some of the recovery you made after Michael has made it easier to deal with this crisis? I hate you guys are having to jump from crisis to crisis, but you're getting better at it.
Yeah, we're getting plenty of practice. That's for sure. I think it really did help us. The citizens seemed to jump on board very quickly. At least from a county's perspective, my folks knew what a 213 and a 214 was immediately, so that wasn't an issue. But yeah, the citizens really, responded when we put the word out to start social distancing. We're seeing a lot of PPE in the stores. We did make the decision, my board made the direction yesterday to open the beaches between 6 and 9 in the morning and 5 and 8 in the evening. So that was, you're starting to see that along the coast up here. I think Okaloosa County either did it yesterday or they're going to do it today. Guff County's doing it. Walton County's now looking at it. So it's, we're seeing it, we're trying to get the word out that the beaches are not open. We don't want our hotels to start filling back up. But we're just trying to give the citizens a chance to get out of the house and walk the beach and maybe do a little fishing.
Yeah, that would be nice. What else? Who else has got some issues? Either maybe some departmental challenges, anything that they're facing that maybe some of us can help with. What do you think is the most pressing issue out there as far as chiming in, guys? We definitely want to. See if we can help as a group too.
I think one thing I would have, Chris, is we're looking at our finances. That's the only thing I haven't been really, no one's really touched on is our finances. We're looking at cutting back on any major purchases this year, trying to reduce the budget so we have as much carryover as possible because we're losing a lot of sales tax, gas tax, revenue sources that we build our CIPs and other things with Lee County DOT. So we're looking at those, trying to minimize the impacts in the near future, hopefully.
Yes, no, you're exactly right. And David, we are going to cover that in like kind of the second breakouts because I prepared some information for you guys. I'm really concerned about the impact that we're going to see, and I think a lot of it's going to be pretty dire for 2021. A lot of the things are kind of in motion already, but I'm concerned because obviously, we're primarily funded by an activity that takes place every day, and that's driving. And I shared, early on in the roundtable, I looked and I went from normally 300 to 3,500 miles driven to this month so far 172, and I haven't filled my tank since mid-March, which is, I fill my tank every day. It's kind of like a habit. So I'm pretty concerned with what the effect is. Obviously, that's part of my business too, is on the pavement side, but it's concerning for sure. We still don't have all the data. I looked, and the currently the most recent gas certified fuel tax numbers are, I think, January or February. So we don't even have the real effect yet. So So anyway, that's how about just kind of polling the group. Is anybody having trouble getting PPE masks? I think the other thing is that some of these masks, they're not set up for outside work. Like I wear a surgical mask and I'm outside for 2 seconds and I'm delivering food to my dad and I'm sweating and it's getting nasty. So are you guys getting what you need as far as PPE? Is anybody having trouble?
Well, this is Joe Kunkel from Orange County, and we had a long delay in getting, PPE masks and refills on sanitizer, hand sanitizer, and wipes and things like that. But this last week, we, finally got a number of deliveries through the emergency center. So now we're set. But for the first week or 2 weeks, we were either doing homemade or people were wearing the bandanas or other type of masks, but nothing from that was issued by the county.
Okay. What about some of the rest of you guys? How about some of the smaller cities? Are you having any trouble, getting PPE? And are you doing it directly through the city, or is it coming through emergency management type, operations? Or
we've been reaching out to a couple different avenues, Chris. One, trying to make sure that our PD, since we are so small, one or two cases could knock out, a couple shifts and really put us in a hurt. But we've been going some through EOC and a few others through just personal contacts of either town staff or residents we know that help and are active in the community.
Yep. That's good.
This is AJ with Alamorada. Yeah, we've actually, back in mid-January, we were running low, and I began looking for more masks, the N95s, because we use them quite often. And I haven't had an order since then. I just recently ran out, but we have received a few through the EOC with our fire department has issued some of them. But I did recently just get another contact, so I've got another, I think, 10 cases that are coming that are supposed to be here either by tomorrow or first thing next week.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's been tough getting.
No doubt. And the keys are closed. I know we have a project that we're trying to get kicked off. We have to get like approval and we have to go to like an approved hotel. So is that keeping things under control for you guys in the Keys as far as being able to not have, kind of the typical flow from South Florida into the, communities?
Yeah, we've been, I think it's been about 3 weeks now. We've actually shut down at the county line. Have closed the Keys to only residents only.
Yep.
And you must be a full-time resident, not just have property down here.
Wow.
We do have a lot of people in Miami-Dade and Broward County that have multiple places. They might have a weekend home down here. Your driver's license must be your home of record to get in. But yeah, they're turning away. Even still today, they're probably turning away about 100 to 150 people a day that are trying to come in. They've actually have certain passes, and the amount of counterfeit passes is insane. So they're stopping quite a few people and spot checking them and changing up the passes all the time.
So you have older people that haven't had a fake ID since they were 18 years old, and now they're looking for fake IDs in South Florida. Yeah, this is interesting times, man. It feels kind of apocalyptic. So Demetrius, how are you guys doing?
Hey, Chris, and hello to everyone. We're maintaining pretty good. We've had a pretty steady supply of PPE. Our ops manager did a pretty good job of gathering those things a little ahead of time. We did notice towards the month of March when we were trying to get some more supplies, of course, the prices have went up tremendously on those items. So we're just trying to navigate through finding the best resource with the best price. For the most part, Volusia County has not received a large influx of it. I mean, we're still under pretty good warnings and watches, but nothing too substantial at this point. But so far, so good. You know, we're maintaining and just trying to keep everybody focused and working. I will concur with the budget approach. Our city manager, along with some of our staff, we have started working on minimizing some of our purchases or planned purchases for the 2021 budget to try to offset and make sure that we can balance out things heading into this next budget cycle. So that's kind of where we're at with everything.
Yep. That makes sense.
Chris, this is Bruce, pastor with City of Lake
Bruce.
Mary.
Yep. How's it going?
Well, one of the frustrations or difficulties I'm having is getting clear direction from any level of government to me as far as who I should keep home, how low I can staff. So I'm staffing at the minimum level. I have like 30% of my staff coming in.
Wow.
And I have two gentlemen in their 60s who I pretty much told to stay home. And I'm really not getting any direction on that. Is it okay if I keep people home? If I feel that they shouldn't be at work? Is that age discrimination if I'm keeping people home in their 60s? And again, I'm not getting any direction one way or another. So I'm wondering if other directors are getting any assistance with that.
Hey, Bruce, this is Sam May. For us, what we're doing is we're people who are over 65. That's kind of the at-risk group that they've kind of said for us. And I don't know if it's just in Broward County or if it's, you know, statewide or nationwide, but the 65-year-old for our city, we've given the option to people who are 65 or older that they can stay home and collect their checks, and they don't have to come in. They will collect a check. However, we in the public works crew, we have one person who is over 65, or we actually have two people that are over 65. One guy is staying out, and the other guy, after he was out for about a week and a half, said he couldn't do it anymore, and he wanted to come back to work. So I tell you what, and cut grass out in the hot Florida sun and stay home. So anyway, that's what he's decided to do, and he said he wants to work, and that's what he's doing. So he's over 65 and he's working, but we did give the option to stay home at over 65.
Has anybody else given options? Maybe some of the folks in South Florida or some of the others around the state. Is there any options for the older, or are you guys doing anything as far as age based? Because that is kind of a tricky, you know, sticking point. It's for safety, but you know, I don't know if it's sticky or not.
I'll chime in. Once the governor issued the executive order recommending that people with underlying health conditions or over the age of 65 stay home or try to stay home, the county follows suit, and then the city did provide, in conjunction with the FMLA legislation that the federal government pushed down, did provide 80 hours of paid leave to people in that category. They just had, you know, the request just had to come from the supervisors, and then our HR would enroll those employees into those 80 hours. Following the 2 weeks, that pay was actually reduced to 50%. So the city will pay for 50% of those employees' salaries, and then the employees had the option to supplement that pay with their accruals. And the issue that we were having is that a lot of our employees don't have a lot of accruals. So basically, they got put in a situation where they had to take leave without pay, or they had to come back to work. So that's a very difficult decision for them to make.
Yep.
But it is the option that the city had provided for them after 80 hours.
So Roberto, that's good information. I'm wondering if, as a group, we can actually go in and try to share some of this information where we send that over, because that seems like the right thing to do. There may be a way that I can, if you guys send me the information, I can disseminate it to the group. Anything on, policies, procedures, kind of the edicts from, upper level on how to deal with these situations, because, it's kind of unprecedented. And some communities have stronger leadership than others. That's just the realities of it. So maybe something where Roberto, some of that can be useful to Bruce as well, and trying to kind of get things rolling. So
we ended up getting a policy from HR on all the FMLA. Like if you have to stay home because you have a son or a daughter that's in school, they're able to take off. So I have the policy, so I'll send that to you, Chris, so that way you get it as you wish.
Yep.
And if I may, just like Tom mentioned, we do have the option for employees in the child, needing to provide childcare for their employees. I mean, for their children, where they do get, but it's actually intermittent, or it could be actually continuous on there, but they're only getting 2/3 pay. So if it's related to childcare, they get 2/3 pay, and then the employee has the option to supplement for the remaining, so they get their entire paycheck.
What we'll do, everybody, is it sounds like you all have some great ideas and ways of doing this. If you send them to either Chris or myself, we can actually create like a Google Docs folder that we can get limit access to and send it to the participants of this call under the PWDRoundtable.com, and then you guys can pull those to review with your own internal staffs and all of that to determine if you want to utilize or emulate any of them. So
yeah, definitely. So, and for any employees that you guys have that are great teachers, I could use some help in the homeschooling department. So I'd probably be willing to make up some of the money they lose. Oh, I see somebody. Nice. Doug is rotating around to show me some homeschooling that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your homeschooling for today, Doug? Is that the
grandkids? Yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to go back to my screen here and just share the PowerPoint again, because what I want to do is go through some of the financial side, and I know you guys have some serious concerns on that. So let me go to that real quick, and we'll go through it. Okay. All right, so one of the things that just taking advantage of a few of the positives, and this is kind of some news from the Keys. For the first time ever, Duval Street is not busy, so they're actually taking advantage of the drop in traffic to socially distance and do some road work at the same time. So we've actually seen this in multiple areas where because there's a drop in traffic, it's much safer. I know for our crews, we've seen just a much easier time. Maintenance traffic is easier, a lot less incidences. It's definitely safer for the crews. So I've even seen some memes where you'll see Chris Farley and it says, "Please do all the road construction now." So that's kind of the attitude. But this is going to be a pretty significant impact to us as far as the way we're funded, especially on gas tax revenue. So it's pretty concerning. I use a company, a big data company called Streetlight Data. They have recently made their VMT data free. And so I'll actually share this with everybody. But what they have is a county by county estimated total VMTs. And I know this is hard to see, but in essence, this shows some of the changes. And as you go deeper into the crisis, the changes got more and more significant. So you would almost see it where you can see 30 to 40%. And then as it got deeper into, this is as of April 14th, some of these counties, and I look specifically at South Florida, are experiencing. Palm Beach County was a 77% change in their VMT year over year. So that is significant. And if that goes on for extended periods of time, the impact is going to be pretty severe potentially to our funding levels just for roadways, gas tax, which is primarily how we're funded. So,
hey, Chris,
yeah.
on that also, when the gas has been going down so much in some areas, it's a percentage of the total of the gas, instead of just having a fixed 5 cents or 10 cents per gallon. So that will also suffer in that because of the drop in gas.
So I have some great news about a failure that I had. I have been a proponent since about 2015. I've been pushing in Tallahassee to index local government gas tax. And thank God I failed, because indexing local governments are not indexed. So when the price floats, you guys get a standard 9 cent, 5 cent, depending on your county. If we had been able to index it, and one of the ways we thought that would be good is because it's almost always gone up, with the exception of a couple months in 08, but it would have been bad. So actually, thankfully, we did not get local government taxes indexed. The state FDOT is indexed. So where you're going to see an effect is anything that flows through FDOT. Some of the counties get scrap and SCOP. That's fully funded for 2020. However, we could see a change for 2021. But thankfully, that part is not going to be as bad. But some of the others are bad. I pulled this from Hernando County, Jeff Rogers, who used to be Public Works Director up there. But the impact just so far has been, significant. They're looking at $1.6 million for the next 3 months, and then predicting a loss in state revenue sharing of 15%. So you can see even on, they're talking about commercial solid waste fees for you, those of you guys who have solid waste under Public Works. I would expect, restaurants, a lot of these places are not open. So what is that going to be different? That would potentially make an impact, especially for those of us in the collection business. And then the tourism and sales tax is going to be pretty devastating, especially for the communities that are dependent. Yep.
Yeah, the state revenue share for the sales tax, that 1 cent, or especially a lot of you probably use sales tax, a 1 cent sales tax or whatever, for infrastructure capital funds, like a local option sales tax or something along those lines. So the impacts of this to those major projects that you have planned for this year and next year could be very significant, based upon the fact that people just aren't buying outside. They're buying online, which is very difficult to manage sales tax revenue from.
That's true. So, these things are pretty concerning. I think what we want to do is kind of spend some time, kind of go through some of the situations here in a breakout session. One of the things that I wanted to, encourage is keep the faith. We know that people will drive again. It's not that they're not going to drive again, but what I'm concerned about is what kind of impact it's going to have. And the one shred of good news is that the drop in oil prices really positively impact our cost of operations. So, for instance, those of you who have trucks running around the city, county, that's going to cost less. So your fuel costs will go down. Unfortunately, it's a lot of the way that we pay for things. So the other thing is, and I don't have this prepared yet, but we're going to see a reduction in asphalt prices. So I'm not sure how many folks at the local government level index their asphalt prices or use the FDOT index, but there will be some cost reductions potentially in some of the big materials costs, like I would think concrete, asphalt for sure, because it comes from crude. So there will be some reductions in that you guys may be able to expect, which would save some money. What other for the group? What other situations are you guys running into funding wise? Has it started to be talked about in a wide sense yet? From what you guys are hearing.
What I like to say, it also depends on what kind of reserves the city has been holding on to for quite a while. Some are struggling with that. Ours, in our city, we got maybe between 23 and 25% reserve. So, we can handle some of the hit of what we're having right now, but some of the cities and counties cannot.
Yeah, this is Joe Kunkel from Orange County. Our OMB has done some projections, and we are definitely going to see some impacts from the tourism tax that is typically collected with almost all of our hotels or all of our hotels shut down and our 3 or 4 big attractions all closed as well. But they're looking at around 25% loss over the rest of the year. So we've already started looking at, trimming back our budgets for next year. All purchases are tentatively on hold for right now unless they're, standard and life and safety related. And then, wait for the other shoe to drop and see how it's going to impact our capital program, which we'll be discussing next week. So there's plenty of impacts to us in Orange County.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, you guys come to mind when you think of just the massive amount of impact that you could see. For sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the screen sharing, then I'm going to go back and we'll open the rooms back up. I did notice that there is some situation. So if you lose a connection and we're in the rooms, I had trouble getting, some of the people back in, which is one of the reasons I hopped in and had everybody rejoin the bulk group. So hang tough. If you do get disconnected, we'll obviously try to get you back in here. So we'll do this for another few minutes here. I'm gonna go through and try to open these rooms back
15
up.
pilot in Okinawa. I think I lost everybody. I think I lost you guys.
Yeah,
There you are.
Okay. Yeah, he's in the Air Force.
Oh, awesome. I'm a retired Air Force vet.
Okay. He's an F-15 pilot in Okinawa.
That's great.
His wife's logistics officer. I have Air Force, Army, and Navy. My middle son's Army, and my youngest son's Naval Reserve.
You probably love your airman most.
This is how you check. So,
well, I was ex-Air Force.
12 plus 8 is what?
I can relate to him.
You gotta love the Air Force people more.
So this
we have a lot of needs.
Yeah, you guys see, this is what's going to happen is we're going to break into, now we're going to talk about military, and then we're going to we should have opened up. Demetrius, you could have totally hooked us up maybe with, we need probably a sermon of some sort in this kind of situation. I'm looking for your Instagram. Are you guys open for business on Sundays?
We are. We are open to online virtual services.
Okay.
And that's been going great. We do breakout Bible studies using Zoom, and our youth groups, they do like these kind of chat groups and different things. So we're still, sharing the good news.
That's good.
It makes me think the church right outside my condo complex, they actually did a drive-up Easter Sunday sunrise service.
Yeah.
So they set up a stage outside, and everybody just parked and watched from their cars. It was kind of
that's a thing that's happening now.
If you guys want inspiration, you got to see Demetrius, because it is talk about serious. I mean, it's a lot of hope and song and everything. So it's good that you guys are still able to share that online.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So one of the joys of being bivocational, so.
Yes, you are bivocational for sure. Absolutely. Well, I am just, kind of rejoining the group, wanted to bring you guys together. We'll definitely try to get some help out to you guys as best we can as far as, communicating. And it's good to see some familiar faces and some new faces and just be able to interact and help any way we can with each other. This is tough times. I'm going to shoot back to the sharing screen here for a second, because I wanted to show you just something real quick, because one of the things that we're seeing is a reduction in air pollution. So I don't know if you guys have seen some of these slides where you'll see these satellite images, and you'll see like where people are seeing mountains that they didn't even know were there. Like India, they saw the Himalayas for the first time in decades, which is just shocking. The picture on the right is actually on the top is LA on a normal day, and now it's LA today. So it's not all death and destruction and terrible things, but it does make you think of, there must be a lot of stuff not happening, a lot of vehicular traffic not happening to get that kind of reduction in air pollution. It's pretty significant. So what we really want to do.
Hey, Chris, could you go?
What's that?
Hey, Chris?
Yeah, Sam.
Could you go back to that one slide? I want to take a picture of that again, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that
That's
good?
it. I got it. Thank you.
I'm going to send you guys this all this stuff. I've got the recording too. I think if it's still
recording.
The one on the right is LA, Chris, you said?
Yeah, the one on the right is in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's either that or Los Angeles put that mountain in there for like a Zoom background. I don't know which.
Did you also see in Venice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dolphins are coming back in.
Yeah.
My son lives in LA now. He's going to school out there, and he says that you can go snowboarding if you want to go snowboarding and surfing on the same day. Yeah, because the mountain's right there. The Big Bear Mountain's right there.
Oh yeah.
They won't let you, so they'll arrest you if
That's
they
right.
give you the surf.
Now they will, yeah, but
yeah.
Now they will.
You might get arrested, but still you could do it if you wanted to. So
That's crazy.
But yeah, it is crazy, and it's one of those things where if we look at it, there's still essential services that have to be done, and I call them public works. We are essential, and again, this gives us the opportunity to tell our residents and our elected officials, look, there's still people picking up your trash. Your water still turns on when you turn on the faucet, unless you're in North Lauderdale, of course. But your water your water normally still comes on.
It's only for a few minutes, Chris.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's only for a few minutes. But it's traffic. There's less of it, but roads are still essential. We're still able to get groceries. We're still able to keep society moving forward because of the essential things that Public Works does. And so it's a salute to you and your staff that you're still keeping things moving forward. I had my wife told me the other day, she said, remarkably, if you see the Hollywood movies, you always think that the riots start in the 30th minute of the crisis. And really, there's been very little public unrest, which I think is great news. And the stuff that we have seen has been pretty peaceful. Hopefully that continues. But I just think it's a testament that people who are essential services are keeping the essential stuff moving forward. And I think that's one of the key things that we have to do. So I'm just going to keep these up, but I have our email addresses for Chaz and I. Anything that we can ever do, obviously, we're here for you guys. And I know we're all here for each other as well. So in closing, and as we kind of talk about it, what did we not cover that you guys would love more information on? Is there resources that you need that we can help each other get? Is that PPE? Is it more policy and procedures that we can share? What kinds of things do we need to get help to you guys? What can we do?
Hey, Chris, I know Chaz talked about the click, listen, and learn, but do you know any other training things for our employees who are at home or who may be working these weird shifts that we can get just kind of some quick, remedial training to? I mean, not really the high level stuff, but really the stuff, whatever it may be, I guess maybe click, listen, and learn, or is there pothole patching and things like that on those things?
I don't know if APW has stuff that specific,
something
but
that's
there are other. but there are other places, Sam, and we can develop for pothole patching. I'm thinking T Squared at UF may have a video that they can utilize, or Cutter at USF. So
Sure.
if you send us like a list of things that you'd be interested in getting videos or training on remotely, me and Chris can research where those are at, because I've got a few contacts through my training business as well that I could probably pull on to give you guys those options.
Absolutely. And the other thing, obviously, is shameless plug a little bit, but the Florida Pavement Preservation Council did a webinar last month, right during the kind of the thick of the things. And so we're actually putting together with Cutter, we work with Cutter and USF to get more access to webinar, recordings. So we had great information from FDOT, Federal Highway, Bay County participated. So we're going to try to get that information disseminated out there. And so we definitely want more learning available, because there's more chances to learn. If we spend some of this time that we have, this extra time on personal development, then we can come out of this stronger and wiser, which would be, positive. So we can definitely do that. And I know some of you have internal training, and maybe we can share that, with the group, where, maybe some of the larger, agencies, maybe West Palm or Bay County or some of what you guys have, it would be useful too. So I think it's just about trying to share this with each other and get that knowledge out to the frontline folks.
Chris, real quick before we go, because it's 10:50 and we're technically at our closing time, I just wanted to ask all the participants, is this something that they would enjoy or find value in doing more regularly? As in, do you want to have another one, monthly or every other month? Maybe not 2 hours long. We did 2 hours this time because we were planning the one that we would normally do at the Florida Public Works Expo. But maybe it's just a one conversation get together amongst public works directors for a roundtable, and it'd be an hour long, and we schedule it every other month or every month.
I think every month will be ideal. As far as West Palm Beach, this has been a great learning opportunity and networking opportunity. So I do appreciate the invite and look forward to further discussions.
I'd like to see it once a month as well. In that, I'd like to know how we staff up safely and what the new normal is going to be for the next year once we are, quote, fully staffed up. How do we stay safe?
I would concur with that. I think that's a great thing if we could keep it going, just hearing the different options and ideas from the different municipal governments on how they're operating during this pandemic. So definitely I think it's a helpful thing to do it more often.
So it sounds like once a month would be good. What about length? Are you guys okay with the one? We currently did 2 hours. Would you rather it be closer to one? Would you like it to be two still? What's your preference?
I guess sometimes it's what conversation we're going to have and what topic. Because this topic, there was a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, right.
Topics that could be an hour. So.
Well, why don't we do the next one at 1 hour? I know you guys, I'm really impressed that you guys were able to stay on and hang in for a couple hours, but I definitely know that this one, there was a lot to cover. Mm-hmm. So what we can do probably is I'm going to try to use some of the technology even better with some of the polling and get questions. So if you guys have things that you want to know from each other, we can do that. We also have the LinkedIn and Facebook groups, which we can be more active on. If you're not members on that, you can, get on to any of the emails. Are you guys all getting the emails? I know you're here, so I'm sure that's how you heard about it. I send them out from different email addresses because some people are not used to maybe getting something from PWD Roundtable, but they get them from my PTI email. So if you see stuff happening where you see them from different emails from me, they're all me, but they're just, I'm trying to make sure that they don't go to your spam filter. So So anyway, that's why you probably see all kinds of different Chris Evers stuff coming through. But sorry about that. All right. Well, this has been great. We're going to try to wrap this up and get it out to you guys. There were a lot of people who expressed interest in coming and just had various other conflicts that they had to take care of, which is normal for public works. But what we'll try to do is come in and get the information out to you guys and do what we need to do to keep these things moving. So that's I think the critical component. And anything else that we can do to help, that's what we want to try to do. So any remaining remarks from you guys?
Just thank you, Chris and Chaz, for putting this all together. It's a great forum.
Absolutely. We're happy to do it. It was always a good kind of a session during the live expo, so we didn't want to let it go just because of a little virus. Bugs. Bruce, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for sharing.
Staying safe. Absolutely, and thanks for hanging in there for some of the tech stuff, just kind of getting things through. So we'll be even better at this thing next time for sure.
Great.
Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you guys hopefully soon. Hopefully it'll be in person at some point.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Everybody, we appreciate
Stay safe,
you.
Stay
everybody.
safe.
Thank you. Be safe.
Everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
Guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.